Hello everyone, this is the question 6 of important questions and simple answers series. And the question is, can you briefly explain epoch, batch size, iteration terms? So again, let me explain the question with simple diagrams. Let's look at closely. Let's assume that we have a data set which contains 500 samples. And the number of epochs is a hyperparameter for us, for the model. And for the number of epochs, we can say that this value equals the number of times that the model will see the entire dataset during the training. So if the value of the number of epochs is 1, that means our model will see the entire dataset once. In other words, we will feed the model with the entire dataset once. But if the number of epochs equals to 10, that means we will feed our model the entire dataset 10 times. And usually 1 is not enough. Model cannot learn with 1 epoch. But also if the epoch number is too high, you can see overfitting situations. And especially in CNN, in image recognition problems, even 10 epochs can be too much and can cause some overfitting. So be careful about the values. If you consider this shape, this set is our entire data set, then each subset is batch for us. And the batch size is the size of this batch. And for this example, if we give 32 as batch size, that means 500 divided by 32 is nearly 16. So we will have 16 batches, and each batch contains 32 samples. But of course, as you see, 500 divided by 32 is not exactly 16. That means the last batch will contain 20 samples, not 32 samples. And if the batch size equals entire training data size, in this case, if we give the batch size as 500, we will call it batch gradient descent. But if the batch size equals 1, then it will be stochastic gradient descent. And if the batch size is bigger than 1 but less than entire training data size, then we will call it mini batch gradient descent. And usually mini batch gradient descent performs better than others. And for the batch size, these numbers 32, 64 and 128, they are the most common batch sizes. But be careful, like the number of epochs, batch size is also a hyperparameter for us. So we will try to find the best values for the hyperparameters during the experimental parts. And the last term of the question is iteration. And iteration is exactly the 16. That means if you divide your dataset size to batch size, then you will find your iteration numbers. And in this case, 16 iterations means we will feed our model 16 times for 1 epoch. And in each iteration, there will be 1 feed forwarding and 1 back propagation. In other words, our weights will be adjusted as much as iteration size. So we can easily say that if the iteration size is high, then computational cost will be also higher, because in each iteration we will multiply the connection weights with inputs, and also we will find the partial derivative during the backpropagation. So at the end, we can say that these terms, epoch, batch size and iterations, they are quite important for the model's computational cost and the performance scores. So during the experimental parts, you will need to find the best values for these epoch, batch size. Also be careful, epoch and batch size are hyperparameters, but iteration is not hyperparameter. The number of iterations depends on the epoch and the batch size. And finally, there is no one perfect value for all cases. You need to find mostly by experimental studies. Try, and find the best one. Okay, that's all. See you in the next question.